Welcome, everybody.
Hey, hey. Good boy, Tucker.
Work smarter where you want.
This is learning at its most fun.
Good morning to some, good afternoon to others. Thank you for joining us today for another Best Practice Partner Spotlight. My name is Austin. I'm a subject matter expert here at Redtail Technology. And today you've joined us for a Best Practice Partner Spotlight with Pulse360. In case this is your first time joining us for one of these, our Best Practice Partner webinars provide you with an opportunity to either familiarize yourself with a tech solution you may not currently be using, or to take away valuable insights on the integration points between Redtails and, in this case, Pulse360. So today's presentation is meeting follow-ups in half the time. We all know that advisors' day-to-day is full of meetings, oftentimes posing the challenge of going back to back to back and making sure that we're getting follow-ups done in a timely fashion. So with Pulse360 and Redtail, we're going to learn how we can automatically trigger workflows and tasks to get follow-up items to our team quickly. Before we get to that, though, let's go ahead and just talk about a little bit of the logistics. So first off, you should know that today's presentation is going to be recorded. So if you need to step away from your desk, you want to share today's information with a colleague of yours, this is all going to be recorded and posted to both the Redtail Help Desk and the Redtail YouTube channel. So feel free to go ahead and access those recordings, probably be available early next week. Another thing that you should know about this webinar is that it comes equipped with a QA section. So at the end, my co-presenter and I will be taking questions from the audience and answering those live. So if you have any questions now or during or even after the presentation today, go ahead and click on that QA button there and go ahead and throw your questions in there, and we'll go ahead and answer those live together. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get started with meeting follow-ups in half the time with Pulse360 and Redtail. Today, my guest is Anand. He is the founder of Pulse360. And Anand, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, Austin. Hello, everybody.
So Anand, I want to just start off with, for those on the call who might not be familiar, can you just give us a brief snapshot of how does Pulse360 save advisors time or money?
Yeah, absolutely. So you as advisors are constantly meeting with your clients, and then you have to do follow-ups afterwards. It ends up taking a ton of your time just because there's no software that exists until we came along to help you document and send out those follow-up emails to your clients. And with the way we've done it, it's literally saving you over half the time now.
Half the time. That's a big sell there, Anand. So
Yes.
you've recently improved this integration, and so tell us a little bit about what you're working on and how does it save advisors half the time?
Yeah, sure. So we're using templating system where you add the advice that you generally have given to your clients. And what I have found is 80% of the time, we're delivering similar advice to different clients. So we have an ability for you to add that into the software where then you can just pull those up. Let's say it's a Roth conversion conversation, right? You don't have to go and rewrite the whole Roth conversion and why it makes sense. It's all in the library and you just pull it down. Now, what we've added, what you alluded to, Austin, is a couple of enhancements to that. Is if you're recommending a Roth conversion, then generally you're going to create some sort of a follow-up task where you have to check in with the client to say, are they going to do it? And so we've enabled tasks now can automatically get triggered into Redtail just when you email a client saying we're going to do a Roth conversion. So you as an advisor or your team don't have to now go and create another task and say, okay, we need to follow up. It's all set up and automatically happening. Now, the latest update we've done to that is actually now we're triggering workflows as well. So just imagine if you are having a prospect come in and you're going to onboard them, right? You can email them saying, thanks for signing up and here's the fee. But behind the scenes, we automate creating a workflow that, let's say you have an onboarding workflow in Redtail, and that will automatically get triggered when you use Pulse 360 and email out to the client. So our focus is client communication, and then magically behind the scenes, kind of activate the different things that you need to do in a practice.
Wow, that all sounds really cool. Do you think maybe you can give us a demo and show us how it works?
I thought you would never ask. So absolutely. Let me share, let me just get this kind of presentation up 1 second, and then I will share. So the end goal for Pulse 360 for you as advisors is to kind of allow you to show your value, right? Everything you do revolves around meeting notes and the advice you deliver to the clients. And if it's taking you a long time to send out a follow-up to your clients, it's detracting from some of your value. If you don't even send it out, then clients are not going to remember all of that. So that's kind of how we started. Let me kind of give you a little bit of a background on me. So all of you know, I have spent about 20 years in the advisor world. I tell everybody I've done everything from serving coffee to clients all the way to compliance. I have ran thousands of financial plans. I have also done portfolios of hundreds of millions of dollars. So with an experience across the board, I wanted to kind of create something. Actually, I'm glad I put this here. So I guess there's no camera here, so you can't see my pink ribbon, but there's a pink ribbon on my headphones, and I wanted to make sure that I say why. It's because it broke and my daughter gave me to fix it. So, but since there's no camera, there you go. So when we decided to build Pulse 360, I wanted to make sure, being I was in the field and how much technology we use, and every new technology layer you add on just creates more work. So I had a different goal. I wanted to make sure that whatever we do, it's actionable by you, by your team. It's also scalable for you and your practice. And it's a repeatable process, because once you introduce something that's systematic and repeatable, you can look to grow fast. Now, with all of those, we also started to recognize that we're going to save you a ton of time. And 50%, some of the advisors are saving 60, 70, 80% of their time just documenting. And you'll see in a minute here when I do the live demo of how that's actually possible. Now, the other angle of this is also protecting your practice, right? Of course, when you're emailing out your advice to your clients, you have a written record of what's going out. So from a compliance perspective, you're also protecting your practice. And then when you're able to email out these follow-ups to your clients, it's actually going to increase referrals. And I've seen that actually take place with us when I did this previously in the field. I built this version in Excel before, a long time ago, and our referrals started going up because we were providing such a great level of service just by emailing them a simple summary of what the meeting was about. And it allowed us to really communicate the value, right? So we always kind of kept it in front of the clients that this is how much work we've done for you. Now, when you look at a tech map, this is Michael Kitz's map, if some of you are familiar with it. It's like the question is, there is no more need for any further software right here, right? Now, what I found is, as an advisor or the team, you have a ton of those software, and 99% of them are necessary for you to get ready for your meetings with the client or the prospect, right? It gets you the performance numbers, it gets you the financial planning numbers and what have you, but they're all very quantitative based. When it comes to the qualitative aspect, right, just getting ready for a meeting, searching your past notes, taking handwritten notes during the meeting, and then finally sending out a follow-up, there's different software and technologies that advisors use. So when I break the meetings down into 3 different stages, we'll call it the pre-meeting, the during the meeting, and the post-meeting. In the pre-meeting, you may be searching your past notes. If you've tabled something like, okay, we're going to discuss this at the next meeting, it's really challenging to go and search that. Reviewing and preparing an agenda, it's also takes a lot of time. And then during the meeting, you're taking handwritten notes. And then finally, you're doing post meetings, right? Creating action items and follow-ups. Well, all of this to your practice is costing you from time and inefficiency today. And the main reason for this is because advisors end up using a hodgepodge of different technologies and software to just kind of do everything around a meeting, right? From agendas to taking handwritten notes to then sending out disclosures or creating follow-ups manually into Redtail, for example, or triggering workflows. All of that is taking a ton of time for you. And we decided to say, let's just build the majority of all of those tasks into one centralized advice system where all your advice resides, and it's triggering workflows and tasks automatically in Redtail, for example, right? So what we have brought is 20 years of my experience of actually knocking my head against the wall and doing this day in, day out. We used to run 40 to 45 meetings a week. And so I decided to just say, let's look at it a different way. Now, I'm going to present you a little bit of a concept here, why we're solving this way. To me, meeting notes are literally the lifeblood of your practice, right? And sending up a follow-up email, it takes a ton of work. It ties up senior staff or even the advisor yourself because there's certain language, the way you have to say things, right? There's a brand perception, compliance angle. So here's an email, for example, that we're sending out, and it looks relatively innocent, right? There's just 4 bullet point items here that, you are always rewriting this from scratch every email. So that's the first problem we looked at solving is let's stop wasting all that time writing from scratch, and you just write it once, and now with our system, you can use it forever. So here's a language, for example, we're recommending some sort of an investment. And now what we do is we allow you to merge that automatically into your email. And it goes and sits right there, as you can see. The next problem is, when we look at the emails, there's 4 items here. 3 of them are action items, that to-dos that you have to kind of follow up on. 1 of them you're tabling for next meeting. And what you generally would end up doing is taking these and manually copying into Redtail and creating a task, right? And also for next meeting, you may have some sort of a system of trying to remember, or worst case scenario, you try and search your email to see what was it that we're doing. So we solve this problem by saying, let's take this one meeting note. How can we make this actionable? How can we make this scalable for your practice and repeatable? Well, what we did is we actually attached different action items and metadata to that one meeting note, for example. So here, this one is organized under investments. I have tagged it for next meeting. So it makes it really, really fast for me to pull this up. I now can create a task automatically every time I use this in Redtail and trigger a workflow, as well as you can attach disclosures. So just imagine if it's your ADVs or form CRSs or any research report, for example, you can just attach it once to a templatized meeting note right there, and it'll always now go when you email this out. You can send this to an agenda, a summary, or a client to do. So that's ultimately the main concept behind of how we've built Pulse360, is to say every meeting note, you can now add action items and get it organized. So where we fit for you today is in the, this is the world today for you as a hodgepodge, and you're manually doing all of this. We have actually built it so that everything is kind of done automatically. All your notes will automatically sync back over to Redtail. Tasks will be automatically created. Workflows automatically triggered. So that's kind of where we are coming in from. And I'm going to just stop this for a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you the Pulse360. So, by the way, if any of you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'll keep monitoring that and see if there are any that I can answer while I'm talking. So here is Pulse360, and I have all these notes for Tom. And let's say I'm going to do a demo of, getting ready for a meeting. So we'll do the pre-meeting side of stuff where I'm searching for notes and then preparing an agenda. And then I'll move over to during the meeting notes, during the meeting time, as well as finally a follow up and how we can generate all of that. So here, let's say I want to go and find, have we tabled anything for next meeting? I'm going to just filter this for my next meeting tab. And now instantly I've narrowed down to say exactly what I have tabled for next meeting. So I can be really, really focused as an advisor or team rather than getting into the rabbit holes that we normally do when we start looking through all sorts of notes. So this keeps you super focused. And on top of it, these filters are very much like Excel, where you can actually stack them. So I can go ahead and say, not only next meeting, but is there something from an opportunity perspective that we had? And now here's instantly is pulling this up. So this is a way of quickly searching and kind of getting ready for the meeting. And now let's put an agenda together, right? So I'm going to go back to Redtail. So here I have Catherine. And what I did right before the call here is I set up a meeting in Redtail. And there's the Redtail webinar demo. And now we'll pull up Catherine in Pulse. So let me go find Catherine. And I'll be able to show you that what we do is we automatically pull the events as well as the contact detail into Pulse. So you don't have to do this again twice, set it up in Redtail as well as here. Once it's set up in Redtail, it all flows down to us. Now, the idea behind Pulse, and we're going to try and put an agenda together right now, is literally depending on this database of language that you build out. Right now, it does come with 70 odd micro templates to kind of get you going. However, I don't know your business as far as what you advise on, what products and what have you. So I fully expect you to make this your own, customize it, edit it, add your own, right? So for this meeting, let's say I want to request a pay stub. So all I need to do is just start typing and it narrows down my language. So now, rather than me typing for your upcoming meeting, please bring in all this all the time, I just typed in 3 letters, pay. I have my language already. I'm going to add it. Now, this is an area where it's kind of like an Excel file where it's just a log. So it's going to start adding all your notes. Now I'm going to go back and say, many of you advisors may be doing meetings, client review meetings, that you have certain things that you always want to put on an agenda, right? So I have created an agenda tag, and what that does is it allows me to pick from my language really, really fast. So now I have 2 items that I know I always have to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and add them. And as I add them, the first one got added. The second one has a data input for me. So it's asking me what I need. So let's say this is 2016 tax return you need. Now, as I've created this, I noticed that, I'm preparing for this meeting. Hey, we really need to get this 2016 tax return in. Well, now if you see, if I've highlighted, I can actually create a task and I'll say, let's make sure we get 2016 tax return in, right? I'm not going to change the dates and what have you. These categories are all coming live from Redtail. So let's just say I'm going to put in estate for now on this one. I'll make it a high priority and I can assign it to a different team member. So let's say Valerie. Now what's going to happen is this task, as you can see, has appeared right here. In about 3 minutes time, we'll check Redtail and it should show up right there as a task there. So now I'm going to go ahead and tag these items for an agenda. So I'm picking 3 of them items, but one of them, actually I need to add one more because I want to show you. Let's say there was a product that you had recommended or a strategy and the client has declined. So in this case, I'm going to put, we had proposed long-term care, but the client has declined, right? And I want to make sure that as an advisor, or if you're a team member, getting ready for the advisor, they can eyeball this so they know, hey, let's not touch that subject. So there's 4 items here, and I'm going to create an agenda. And let's make sure we pay attention to one thing, which is this is not a client-facing note, right? It's more advisor-facing. But how we handle it is important. So I'm going to go create a document. We'll do an agenda. We'll do an email agenda out. And I'll pick a salutation and then my signature. So as you can see, this email is now ready to go out. And there's the, risk tolerance we're going to review, 2016 tax return, and the pay stubs. So there's the 3 items. The 4th one that I had mentioned, the long-term care, it's not showing up in this email. And I'll show you how we handle that. What you can do here is you can press the email, and from within the system, you can email this out. You can change the subject, you can add additional people, and press send. Now, it does use your email, so it will go and sit in your sent folder afterwards. Jumping over to email agenda, I'm going to go back and say, you know what, let's save a PDF for the advisor that is housekeeping items. So this is an internal, kind of an agenda, which is advisor facing. There's the normal items that you're going to discuss with the client, but here's all the housekeeping stuff or the internal notes. So if you have to update beneficiaries and what have you, you can kind of have a list right here. And you can as easily just go and say, you know what, I also want a formal agenda that's more client facing, and just jump over and say, give me a formal agenda. And now here's a formal agenda that you can save as a PDF and bring it up into your Zoom meetings, or if you're going to start meeting people in person again at some point this year, you can print this out and just kind of have it in front of you. So that's kind of the, the pre-meeting and the agenda part of stuff. We're gonna go and we're gonna make sure that, let me see if it's been about 3 minutes. So it's just about 3 minutes. We'll go check Redtail to see if the task has appeared here. We're gonna refresh. It may be just coming over. Yep, so right there, as you can see. And when I click over, you can see the category I had picked. I had given the high importance. Valerie is who I had, tagged for an assignment. And we put within it the context and the note from Pulse360 itself. So I'm going to cancel this out. Now, this is right here. What we also do is when you mark this complete in Redtail, it'll actually update in Pulse as complete as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this complete so that that one's gone from the screen here from Redtail. In Pulse360, in about 2 to 3 minutes, this little blue icon that says pending will change over to green, saying complete. So while we wait for that, I'm going to jump over to the during the meeting phase, right? How do you take notes during the meeting? Now, what we have done is, I know from experience, 99% of the time, advisors are taking notes on a yellow pad. You don't want to break that connection with the client. I get it. So what we did is we built out a digital yellow pad into Pulse360 itself. So if you have an iPad Pro with a pencil or a Surface with a pen, you can now use this for your meetings and take notes. And when you're done, you could notify your team member. So I'm going to notify, for example, me, and I'm going to get an email saying, hey, notes for Catherine are done. So that's your handoff, basically. No more having to scan this in and do any of that. You can notify, hey, my handwritten notes are done. The second thing we've built in here is, with all the Zoom meetings everybody's having, is we also give you a whiteboard capability. So I'm going to go pull up a chart here. Let's say this in Excel I'm just pulling up. I'm going to take a screenshot of that, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that. Now, while you're in a Zoom meeting, you could literally do all of this for your clients. They'll be seeing all of this, and you can, when you get out and exit out of this, it's all saved. So you can come back and refer later on what were the charts that you showed and what were the points that you've emphasized. Again, if you think about that, that kind of helps you from a compliance angle as well, because all of your notes are now saved and it's available for you anytime. Also, from a client service perspective, if you have an assistant or whatnot, they can come in, they can look at what you were doing in case they had a question and jump through your handwritten notes and all of that. One additional thing we did with that is, when we add that note, we actually also create a little note right here that says digital note right here. And you can literally just come in and kind of type in like, oh, this one was, we did vacation planning on this one. We did a car purchase. We talked, about estate, for example. What I was just showing right before is these notes. Now you can literally search your handwritten notes because you've added some context. And when you're searching through the Pulse360 systems, you get it. You can just click this digital notepad and it'll open up right away. We also put a link in Redtail with that digital notepad. So in Redtail, you would be able to select the link and open up in a new browser tab, and it'll open up in Pulse and open that note directly. So let me go ahead and now move on to the post meeting part, right? And we're going to create some workflows and attach some disclosures and all of that. So you're going to see a lot of automation right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's say we had a client or a prospect that came in, right? And you want to tell them, hey, thanks for hiring us. Here's our fee. So here I'm opening up the template. So we have decided to work together, and our fee is, and it's between 2 curly brackets, which means when I choose it, I have to put in what the fee is. So it's literally, that's the only data point I need. I am attaching 2 forms to this, a form CRS as well as an ADV. So now when I add this, that one will now be emailed out to the client. I'm also creating a task in Redtail that says, hey, thank the referral. It's starting 5 days from now. And this is the category and hi, and it's assigned to a couple people. Now the workflow is also going to be triggered. So here's onboard a client. So when I add this note, 3 things will automatically happen. The workflows will going to get triggered, the task will get triggered, and then these forms will, when you email that out, will go with it. So let's go back and let me add that note. And let's say the fee is, $2,500. As you can see, that got added. Now the task is already here. There's a workflow right here and these 2 PDFs. And all of this, when I email this out, will go. Let me kind of say, there's sometimes compliance related notes that you almost have to have. So I've created a tag, and anything with compliance is now going to pull up. So there's 4 items here that I almost always have to make sure that I meet my compliance need. So I'm going to pull all of them up and just say, add all 4. And all of them have different items that I need to add. Only one of them doesn't have any other, like for example, flexible data field. So that one will just get automatically added. So I'm going to come in and add that. Now, what we have recently done is these items, let's say you're not ready. You're just kind of preparing for the meeting. Well, I'm just going to add it as blank, blank, and blank. And what that's going to do is when you're finished with your meeting, you can come and see these items that have the exclamation points and just say, let's fill out those fields. So now literally after the meeting, you can just come in and say, CAD, and let's say it's your RMD was for 5,000. That one's done. Let's say this is a IRA account that we need to change out to say, hey, this was an old fund to, a Redtail fund, let's just say, and the new fee is 20 basis points and 80, the old one was 80. And then the net worth is, let's just say, $1 million. So what we just did is kind of quickly add some compliance related notes that now you can email out. I'm going to add one more as a client to do item. So let's say there's a employee census you need, right? So I have a language that's built in, employee census. I'm going to go ahead and start tagging these items to send out as a summary item. So all of these items, now I'm going to tag for summary. And the last item, I'm going to say, that's a client to do item. So same way that I did the agenda, I'm going to go ahead and create a document. I'll pick summary this time. And I'll say, it's an email summary. And I'll pick the salutation as well as my email signature. And now here's the email from a financial planning perspective, your investments perspective, and the client to-do items are already here, as well as what you see are the 2 PDFs on the left. So when we email this out, so I'm going to go ahead and email this out to myself. all of the PDFs, the 2 PDFs will go, as well as this email now will be delivered to me in my email system. And when we send out these forms, we've added an additional automation, which is we log it for you automatically at the bottom that, look, form CRS was sent, as well as ADV part 2 was sent. So all these notes will make themselves way back into Redtail. Let me refresh and we'll jump over to Redtail to see the workflows as well as the task. And here, as you can see, the task for the tax is already completed because that fed back in. We're going to go back into Redtail and refresh this. And when I refresh it, as you can see, thank the referral is here. And now if I scroll down, there's the workflows being triggered automatically for you. Right. So with that, I'd love for any questions to be answered. I'm looking at the chats and I don't see anything there, but if there are any.
Well, thanks, Anand. That was a great presentation. I gotta say, I love the confetti after you send out the email. I thought that was a good. I think life's better with a little more confetti.
My developers were like, "Why do you want to add this to a business application?" And I said, "Listen, it's a cathartic experience when we finally send out a follow-up email to a client."
Yeah, and you did it so fast. I think it's definitely worthy of celebrating.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So like Anand said, he's open to questions. If you guys have anything about what you saw today, you want to know more, feel free to go to the QA or the chat. We'll be checking both, and go ahead and ask your question. Anand, I'm actually going to kick things off. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Let's just say, hypothetically, I'm an advisor, and I've been using maybe a voice dictation service.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of how Pulse360 compares and contrasts with maybe a voice dictation service as far as it goes to getting your notes taken after a meeting?
Yeah, so from a voice dictation, I've used those services before, and those are, I think, important for you to have because as an advisor, you can add a lot more color to your conversations, and that is all saved. So, let's say you can add in personalized notes like, oh, there's a wedding anniversary, 50th coming up. And so that really helps from that perspective. And what we're doing is kind of after that fact is once you have your handwritten notes or voice dictations, you come and create your follow-up so that you can easily send out those, to the clients.
Yeah, I think it also probably, if I could add to that, I think it creates a little bit more consistency, right? Because when we're voice dictating, we're kind of like just kind of saying what comes to mind here, versus when we're using something like templates or micro templates inside Pulse360, my notes kind of have a similar flow to them. And that's going to be helpful when I need to search through them or I'm just reviewing them for that next meeting. I know exactly where to look because, each time I have my meeting, they're going to get entered in a similar fashion. So
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And systematizing is the best way to, grow and scale your practice and reduce the amount of work that you have to do. So
thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.